This first one here, it's gonna just push some buttons, all right? Which, hey, if you know me, that's what I do, all right? It talks about boot camp specifically and 100% P&T. I have my own personal thoughts on this. I know one person, I'm not going to say his name, not in boot camp, but shortly after he joined our unit as a new join, or what the Marine Corps would call boot, got out with 100%. And I will talk about that and my thoughts on it specifically. It's going to get a little weird, but yeah, should be a good time. Let's go ahead and see what we're about to look at. Okay. So I'm on Instagram here. We're going to review this video. It's very, very short.
People that get out of boot camp with disability and never earned the title of United States Marine.
That's right. Really?
Yes. If you guys get hurt throughout boot camp, they won't just drop you right away. It depends on the severity of your injury. I will tell you this though, right? If they offer you the opportunity, oh, just simply go back home, get better, and then come back, do not do it. You get comfortable again, and then all of a sudden, like, you get a call from your recruiter or whatever, and you be like, yeah, I want to go back. And then you be like, fuck no, hell no, screw that. I'm not going to do that. And then specifically, you just remember, you can still get disability.
Oh, 100%.
If you are in boot camp.
Intents and purposes at that point, you are a private in the Marine Corps.
Exactly. Exactly. You tell me I'm going to get disability and for the rest of my life, and I only have to do a month, 2 months, 2 weeks in your
well,
case.
I actually, you know a Marine through social media. She was going through the Commodus course at Paris Island and fell off an obstacle, and she's like paralyzed from neck down now.
No way.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah, so it happens. It's very.
All right. So I know this is going to push some buttons. Technically speaking, can a person, and this is Marine Corps boot camp, but in Navy, Air Force, whatever, can someone get hurt and get 100%? Jason, I'm going to kick that question to you. Go ahead and let's go ahead and push some buttons. What do you think about that?
So of course, if somebody gets hurt, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? You sign the dotted line. Everybody signed the dotted line. If you get hurt or you get deemed basically not fit to move on because the military injured you, right? And even if it was your own fault because you didn't hold on right or whatever, but you were trying, right? I totally see it. Where I have an issue is when it's and it's not even really an issue, because I have two thoughts: the personal thought and then the actual legal thought, right? So, and I tend to lean on the, well, that's what it is. What it is. It's the way that it's written. Nobody's taking advantage of anything. It's the way the laws are. So if you have a problem with it, don't bitch at the person who did it. Bitch to your congressional member to change it. But remember, it's sweeping, right? So you have to be careful. And sometimes what happens is sure, you're going to get people to take advantage of the system, fake the funk, whatever. I knew a guy who told me that he was so distraught in boot camp that he was like, oh my God, I got to get out of here, that he jumped off the rack, right? The top rack, over and over again, slamming his foot on the ground as he's jumping, trying to break his like leg or his foot or something. And he ultimately did. So look, it's not made for everybody, but the problem is that there's two things. Okay. I like to always segregate it into two different kind of, we'll call it buckets. One is injuries. The other is diseases or other illnesses. Okay. If you have not served active duty, right? If you haven't made it to actual, like out of training, besides training, right? Because boot camp is training, school is training. Finally, you make it in the Marine Corps to the fleet, typically, and so then you'll be really active at that point. If it's during school and that type of stuff, and you end up getting kicked out for some reason, sometimes the bar's a little bit higher to get certain claims through, especially if it's some sort of a disease or something. Now, if it's an injury, right, like they're talking about the lady that fell off the obstacle, my God, yes, she should get it. It would be embarrassing if she didn't get up. Sorry, you didn't make it, more than whatever days, and you're screwed. Sorry, see ya. No, you signed the dotted line. You were ready to do everything you needed to do. So based on just that, absolutely, a person like that with an injury that's sustained, that's not repairable, to keep you in, and they have to medically discharge you, essentially, you should absolutely get disability compensation. I'll give you one other example here real quick. I knew a guy who joined the Coast Guard. He joined the Coast Guard at 18 years old. When I met him, he was in a wheelchair, riddled with just like super aggressive arthritis. And it was one of those like little wheelchairs where, he could like, the big one where he could like hit the button and it like would kind of almost stand him up type of thing, right? One of the, it's cost as much as a Bentley, one of those. And so that's when I met him. And he told me that, about a year or so into the Coast Guard, he noticed like his finger felt like a squeaky hinge. And then all of a sudden it was his knuckles. Then it was his wrist. And then all of a sudden, like his whole body started getting from, he's 100%, he's got SMC, all of that stuff. And here's the thing. Regardless if he joined the Coast Guard or not, right? He probably would have had that.
Yeah.
That's not, and this is the misperceptions out there, and people get pissed off about this because the reality is that, and you know this, Clay, it's not that the military caused the condition, it's that you signed up free of any conditions. The military says, hey, look, you sign up and you serve with us. If anything happens to you or you develop anything during your time in service, we got your back, regardless if the military caused it or not. So if all of a sudden I started getting migraines, or all of a sudden I started getting GERD, or all of a sudden I got some sort of crazy arthritis a year in, okay, you're going to be able to have that as a service-connected condition. So back to you, Clay. Let's hear your thoughts.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to double tap on the legal aspect. I get it. I agree with it. It is what it is. In the injury piece, if you fall off and you injure yourself, that's very clear. What I want to push back a little bit are those, and I'm going to try to say this as PC as I possibly can. Are there those that claim PTSD from boot camp? Are there those that have adjustment disorders from boot camp or basic training? The answer is yes. I have some personal thoughts on that, but again, it goes back to, legally, they signed it, they get benefits. I understand that. And what this brings my attention to, I'm not going to say his name, but I had a junior Marine directly under me who went to boot camp, went to the School of Infantry, went to Infantry Training Battalion, and then came to the fleet. And we trained hard. I can tell you that. Okay. I was definitely a douchebag type corporal. I'm not anymore. Sorry. If you're watching this, I'm sorry. 29 Echo. My bad. But we trained hard, and he did not want to be in the Marine Corps anymore. And what ended up happening, and I'm no psychiatrist, but from my perspective, this person went to go see who we call the wizard in the Marine Corps. I don't know his actual title. We just call him the wizard. And he refused to train and refused to fire weapons, to include M4 in his mortar system. Obviously, in the infantry, that's not going to fly. And he was released on adjustment disorder and 100% P&T. He's now a mailman. And I see videos of this dude at the range. I see, right now. And does that really, I'm just going to be straight with you, does that really piss me off? It absolutely does. But legally, my opinion doesn't matter. Legally, that's what happened. That's what he's allowed to do. Am I going to report him? No, I'm not. But is it there? From my personal experience, I think it's yes. Would I ever give an opinion on someone doing that? Absolutely not. Is there a culture shock when you go to boot camp and you're like, oh, this is not what I signed up for? 1,000%. So can it happen? Obviously, the answer is yes, right? Don't let, myself on YouTube say it's not. Those are just my personal thoughts on it. Does it get under my skin? It does. But hey, if it's service connected, go for it,
So to me, just hearing that story, right, it sounds like somebody that took advantage of the system. Look, I don't want to do this, right? So I'm going to figure out a way to just get out and move on, right? So I don't have any other way to get out. And look, we've all had we'll call it the, whatever. I'm not going to call it anything. The person in our platoon or whatever that was that guy or that gal, right? I'm going to lean on. There are people that lie. There are people that exploit. There are people that expand their signs or symptoms and fabricate. Absolutely, there are. Do I like to think there's less in the veteran sphere that do that? Yes, I think there's less, but there are some out there doing it, and I could totally see somebody saying, okay, look, I'm in the military and this sucks and I want to get out, and this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was just going to wear a fancy uniform and shoot pool in a bar. I thought that's what I was going to do unless I went to war. I didn't know I had to actually train, right? So I could see somebody doing that. Sure. Does that person have some issues, right? Sure. Right? Is there an adjustment issue? Sure. Does it really rate 100%? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right? Probably not. Especially if he's working, right? So in today's rating schedule, so that's really frustrating. And again, it's the dirt baggery that we have in the world. Look, anytime the government gives anything out monetarily, there's going to be people that take advantage of that system, sadly. And for those out there that think about doing it, think twice, because the IG does try to find you, and not every story is really thrown out there, but there are some very severe circumstances where there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of fake earned benefits. And you can live your life looking over your shoulder. If you have a legitimate illness, disease, mental health condition, something like that, injury, and you ended up getting out of the military early, absolutely file your claim. Do it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm also saying on the other side of that coin, are there people that do take advantage? So I do have an absolute problem with anybody who is, and I don't know who is and who isn't, right? You got to know that yourself. So that's up to the IG and everybody else to figure out. And I never, ever advocate, and neither do you, for anybody to manufacture their symptoms. You can manufacture evidence by trying to recreate some things with your doctor and having them provide you nexus letters and that type of stuff. But you should never make up your own symptoms or make it worse than it is for a few dollars. It's not enough.
Absolutely.
I'm irritated now. Thanks, Clay.
Yeah, sorry.
I hate your story.
That's a true story. And if the OIG ever, if he's ever comes public about it, I will confess as to who it is. And the last thing I will say, and then we'll transition, is we went on a downer there. For those of you who are watching, if that is you, that does not invalidate your claim or your symptoms. Only you know that. And so if it's legitimate, then go for it. I will support you in
Absolutely.
that, right?